everyone, and welcome to our top 10 Vox Machina moment, where James and I will discuss our favorite moment of the last season of Critical Role, the last campaign of Critical Role, obviously, as the title would suggest. So first of all, I wanted to thank everyone who participated to the thread that I created on Reddit about this video. That was really cool. There's a really nice Critical Role community on Reddit, and it's still, for any of you who might have tried the Song of Ice and Fire community on Reddit, that is really huge and all scary. There, it's a lot smaller, that's friendlier, and any thread, pretty much people are gonna reply to you, which is really nice and fun. And I also want to give a special shout out to Volcatus at Midnight, Doc Newin, Sight Again, The Last Mongo, Diner 7, Tailwind, Cat Bat, Kronas, Lord Anarchy, Pound 315, and Lid Salad for sharing their list with me and making it a little bit more difficult for me to stick to just 10. So thank you very much. James, my guest, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is James, also known as JBTV. I love Critical Role. We could have honestly made probably a top 100 list for Critical Role, but we try to condense it down to 10. I think you'll see in my list that I may favor a couple characters over others, but you know, it is what it is, and I'm just happy to talk about Critical Role. For those who don't know, it is a Dungeons and Dragons show played by professional voice actors. Great professional voice actors who've done many great things in media that you would know about. You just don't know who they are. And it's a very epic narrative with drama and comedy. So I think it's great.
It is great. Before we started recording, James and I were discussing trending TV shows. And I can say that Critical Role is definitely my top favorite TV show to watch. I mean, it's not really, since it's a game on Twitch, I don't know how much I can qualify that of a TV show, but I really see it as a TV show. And now that the campaign is over, and that they're going to start a brand new campaign beginning of 2018 with brand new characters, I mean, everyone should watch it. Like, if you watch that video, even for a second, and you have not watched Critical Role yet, just what are you waiting for? Watch it. And if you really love it, you can always go back and binge the 115 episodes from the previous campaign. But I understand that's a little daunting. So, yeah, like James said, it was really hard to pick only 10 moments. Really hard. And there were so many factors to choose from. Like, how do you define what are the best moments? So as you're going to see on my list, a lot of them are comedic moments, funny moments. Yeah, obviously, also some characters are overrepresented compared to other. But I'm actually someone who prefers comedies to dramas, and so I was really liking all of the very funny moments that were in Critical Role. So, without further ado, my number 10. I wrote my episode in the wrong order. So it's in episode 23 called The Rematch. And it is when Burt Reynolds gets Keyleth and Tiberius out of jail. So they are in Marquette. No, they're not in Marquette. What am I talking about? That's a bad start to the video. They are in Vasselheim, and they did something really wrong. They bet on a fight and sort of tried to rig the fight, and so they're arrested. And Laura Bailey, playing Vex, tries to get them out, but then Scanlan arrives and saves the day. And I want to say that today I found about that really cool Critical Role site that is called Critical Role Transcript. It's in the description box, as everything with me, and that's where I could find a lot of the text. So, we have reasons to believe they may have been trying to fix and or rig the bets on the recent bout out here in the Crucible, that is very serious offense here in the Braving Grounds. Laura, I can imagine it would be, yes. However, I don't want to deal with the proceeding and the time it takes. So if these are indeed your charges and you're willing to fill out some paperwork and pay the fines right now, we'll relinquish them to you. And then arrives Sam. Well, that's fine. How much was the fine? Who are you? Oh, he's my lawyer. I am Burt Reynolds, Esquire. I am an attorney at large, and I represent all manner of escaped mental patients. And then the DM Matt says, make a deception check, and yeah, that was one. Okay, so Scanlan is the gnome bard, and he's a very whimsical character, and he always comes up with different characters, like a master of disguise. Now, he's not really a master of disguise, but that's his favorite occupation. And so he comes up with a bunch of crazy other characters, and they're always really funny. And that is just one of the very funny Scanlan moments, Scanlan pretending to be someone else moments.
Yeah, that was a great moment. You know, just for further backstory, there before the campaign even started, that he already once pulled the Burt Reynolds character out and got him out of a sticky situation, and it with the clasp, and it shows that well, one, Scanlan's the best character in my opinion. He thinks quick on his feet. He's able to get people out of sticky situations with his glib tongue, which is one of my favorite aspects of his character. And my favorite part of that particular moment was Matt Mercer, the DM, to actually mess up a little bit when because he was trying to pronounce oubliette, and he kept messing up how to say it. And he's like, just get out of here. So it's very rare for Matt to get you know, thrown off his game a little bit, but Burt Reynolds Esquire coming in there did that to him, and yeah, that's a cool moment.
Yes, it is. And well, of course, the link for that particular moment is also in the description box. So, you know, even if you had not watched Critical Role, like, you can follow afterwards. You can follow everything we're going to be talking about. Just don't spoil yourself. So what is your 10th favorite moment?
Yeah, and obviously the nature of this list, there's going to be spoilers. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not say that at the beginning. That seemed pretty intuitive.
Yeah,
that was going to be spoiler.
Yeah, it's implied.
Yeah,
it's implied. But just throw it out there. But my number 10 is in the episode's Omens. It's episode 40. It's around the 2 hour and 40-minute mark. And what it is the attack. The first attack of the Chroma Conclave on Iman, when King Anduin, I believe is his name, or I forgot what his name is. The one king that died, the king of Iman that died. Yeah, I mean that was the first, because like up to that point, yeah, they fought a beholder, they fought some mind flayers, they did the Briarwood arc, but this was like the first, like, you know, like, holy shit, like, world domination kind of plot. And it was the kickoff of the Chroma Conclave, and, like, you know, up to this point they were pretty much like kicking everyone's ass up to this point. And they, like, even the Briarwoods, they beat them pretty easily. But yeah, when the 4 chromatic dragons swooped down, you had Thordak, Raishan, Umbrasyl, and Voragal came down, and they were engaged in a 1v1 fight with Raishan, and Raishan just, this is for the first time, because this is my first time even, you know, I'm involved with D&D, but in the first time in a long time. So
yeah, I'm sorry, James, I think your mic cut just a tiny bit. It was your first time, what?
Oh, my first time, you know, in this level of D&D. Like, I played a little bit back in the day, but this is like first time where this kind of shit's happening. Just to see the power of the dragon, like, taking out like 30 people, 30 NPCs that they even knew in a single instant, was just a great moment. And like them, like, hitting the dragon and not doing anything, like, and then them running in fear. Like, that is a great moment to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think it was like Grog who actually told them, "Oh, we gotta run," because he had made an attack with Craven Edge, and it was like, I don't remember if it was a nat 20, but it was like a really good attack roll, and it did nothing, and so he was like, "Oh, we're fucked. We gotta run." But you know what?
Yeah.
Like, what was really, really like sort of breathtaking about that moment is that it came right after the Briarwoods arc. I think there was just the Wintercrest. There was one episode before that.
Yeah.
And so the king in question, he had been mind controlled. No, I'm mixing things up. He was about to resign. There was a speech.
Yeah.
Oh, the camera is stuck on me. Sorry. There was a speech.
He was essentially abdicating the throne and installing a council.
Exactly. So that was already a pretty emotional moment at that point. And so it was really unexpected. Like, he really like fell on us like a ton of bricks. We were expecting something political because the Briarwood's arc, although it was, scary and vampire based, it was also highly political. And so we were expecting like this sort of political intrigue to continue, and then like bam, like 4 motherfucking dragons attack.
Yeah. And yeah, I believe Grog rolled a 23 and Raishan's armor class was like 24, which up to that point, like whenever they hit, like they would do our rolls of like 17 and like 16 and 17 even would hit everything. So like this was like the first time they were like, okay, we're dealing with something stronger.
Definitely. Can I move on to my number 9?
Let's do it.
Okay. So number 9. Okay. That's... I love Grog. Grog is my second favorite character. I mean, it's complicated, like, because we started talking about favorite character. For a long time, I really, really loved Percy. Not that he never had the best moments, but I just like loved the dynamic he gave to the group. But I would say that like his influence on the group sort of started fading after the end of the Chroma Conclave. And he's been more diluted. Didn't really have a clear leader as much. I mean, Vax got a lot of influence, and so his character was a little bit more in the background. But yeah, the two funniest characters by far are Scanlan and Grog. And when I did my list, I was like, okay, well, there are like 20 amazing Grog moments from that TV show. Like, and I thought about some that we'll probably talk about in the honorable mentions. There are going to be a ton in the honorable mention, but so I just wanted to pick one that was just Grog being goofy. So for those of you who have never watched Critical Role, Grog is a barbarian. What's his race?
Goliath. He's a Goliath.
Yeah, Goliath. Thank you. And his particularity is that his intelligence is of 6, which is really low and gives him a lot of disadvantage on anything that requires being a little clever. And he plays it really well. Like, he plays pretty much like a ginormous 3-year-old child would act. That's the way Grog acts. And so that obviously gives a lot of very, very funny moments. So the one I pick is in episode 96, Family Matters. Not the best episode. It's the episode where we see Pike's family, cousins, coming, and there's like a tiny arc with that. But that is when we see Grog, the grand poobah of all this and that. Okay, to explain a little bit what that means. A couple of episodes before that, at the end of the Briarwoods arc, Percy, who comes from a noble family in Whitestone, gave an ability title to Vex. And there was a reason for that I don't want to digress too much. And Grog was a little bit sad that he did not get a nobility title. So Percy told him, oh, yes, you can be the Grand Poobah of all of this and that. And Grog, not understanding how much just Percy was shitting with him, was really, really proud of this title. And so in episode 96, they're back in Whitestone, and Grog wants to organize a grand tour of the castle for Pike's family. And there's that moment. I mean, there are a lot of very funny moments in that part of the episode, but there's a moment where I think it's, I don't remember if it's Percy and Vex or Vax and Vex were like want to mess with him and like built a ridiculous tiny hat. And so it goes something like that. Like, so Vax that says, geez, that hat is busier than Kivarn's wall fucking. And Laura interrupts saying, I know, right? And Grog asks, well, is it like well balanced? And the DM said, no, not at all. Not at all. Oh, I have to hold it. And Matt said, no, here's the thing. It was designed for a much smaller head. So even for you to get it on, it's like squeezing a tiny rubber thimble over your thumb. So it's like creaking, pop. It pops up on the very, very tip. So it holds itself, but only really covers the very, very top of your head. Grog says, I'd be worried about the circulation up there, but it's not really concerned. That being a joke because it's so stupid that it cannot really damage his brain. And then, then the DM says, you feel like it might fall off, but eventually you find a little strap inside. And Grog goes, oh. Vex goes, hey. Grog goes, fuck you. And Grog says, it was cool. I was cool until the strap came in. And Percy says, breaking point. I hate those fucking straps. The breaking point is right beneath your chin. Who knew? Been searching for years. Yeah, it's again, check out the link. It's probably really not as fun when I try to, me not being an actor, do all of the voices of the story. But yeah, very funny.
No, it was definitely funny. And just if people don't know, I would say that a pretty good characterization of Grog would be an even dumber version of Drax the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, so I don't know why I can't remember who that is, except that I have no memory ever of anything.
He's the buff gray one that he can't understand metaphors.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'd say an even dumber version.
Yeah. I mean, he's very different. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, I enjoyed that moment. And I actually believe that there's also a Doink in his title. It's like the Grand Poobah Doink of all this and that. There's something like that.
Possibly making it even better. So, James, what's your number 9?
Okay, so my number 9, it's not necessarily it's not a specific moment, but it is from the episode 80, Raishan. Of course, it is the battle against one of those dragons I was talking about, Raishan, who had the most interaction with the party. I think Raishan was the best, in my opinion, probably the best villain of the whole series.
Definitely.
Yeah, she used subtlety and covert tactics to infiltrate them. She was undercover. They found out, but she had this whole situation, this whole dynamic with Thordak, who is the leader of the Chroma Conclave. That she was opposed to him. She was helping him and opposed to him. We never really got the gist of her ultimate plan. But I know it was that Thordak had the cure for her sickness because she was known as the Blighted Deceiver because she had a disease. But yeah, what I loved about this particular episode and reason why it made my list is because up to this point, even against Raishan was the last of the dragons to live. And up to this point, they slayed all the other dragons. And I don't think any of them died against any of the dragons. And up to this point, I believe the only death they've even had on the show, aside from Grog had a couple deaths. He died from Craven Edge, and he died against Kavarn. and Vex died when Percy activated the trap, and Percy died against what's her name, Ripley. Those are the only 3 deaths up to this point of the show. Raishan herself is responsible for the most deaths.
And Tiberius.
Well, and
no,
Tiberius.
come on, like don't get started there.
Okay, and Tiberius died, but Raishan is responsible for the most actual deaths where they had to do resurrections on the show. I believe she is responsible for 6, 5 or 6. I'd have to look it up. I know, like, for a fact, she killed Percy twice. I think she killed Vex. She killed Scanlan twice, I believe. So yeah, just like, and what I put in my notes here was the actual moment was the humbling, Raishan humbling Vox Machina, because up to this point they didn't have this. They Vox Machina is a very guns blazing,
Tactical.
They don't really think their plans through all the time. Yeah, they're pretty guns blazing. They're pretty confident in their abilities to get the job done. But like this was the first time they actually lost a battle. They lost the battle. They had to get out of there. And Raishan was using tactics. Obviously, it's Matt was using tactics to. I think he was using it. I think he was humbling the party. He went invisible. Massive amounts of damage and spells, and they just weren't prepared for it. And and I think they needed that moment, and I really enjoyed it. It was sad, but it needed to be done.
Definitely. I mean, you can see the 2 moments when Matt cranked it to 11. They were like dumbfounded, and they ended up fleeing, but it wasn't like tactical fleeing. You know, it was that the first Vecna fight.
Yeah, it was like, we got to get the fuck out of here, fleeing. Like,
yeah,
or it is a TPK.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's all I had to say about that. Great moment.
That is a great moment indeed, and that does link us to my 8th favorite moment, which is from episode 83, The Deceiver Stand, which is the episode of the final battle versus Raishan, and it is when Keyleth successfully feebleminds Raishan. Like, that was badass. That was a fuck yeah, a badass moment. And it's not something, I mean, there are a lot in that show, but it's not something I'm super sensitive to. Like, I'll be, I remember funny moments much better than badass moments. But that one, I'm sorry, really, really was. First of all, because, okay, I feel I'm getting into the Keyleth 8. That's not the case at all. But I'd say that Keyleth is more conservative with her spell use in battle. Like, she can be really creative outside of battle, but in battle, she's a lot more conservative than Scanlan is. So that was surprising in a good way coming from her. But yeah, they're really not expecting it. So like Keyleth says, this is kind of like a Hail Mary. Oh, Jesus fuck. All right, I'm going to cast my 1/8 level spell, and I'm going to attempt to feeblemind her. And then they're like, oh, but it's not going to work because she's so smart. And Matt rolls really poorly. And so it succeeds. And they can't believe it. It's like, her intelligence and charisma become 1, cannot cast spells, cannot activate magical item. And they're like, oh, shut up. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Did that really happen? Like, they really can't believe it. And were it not for that feeble mind, they would have lost that fight. What do you think?
She also fell out of her chair.
Oh.
She literally fell out of her chair.
Yeah.
Oh no, obviously that was very clutch. And I do think, like, part of her reason why she got conservative with her spells is because of some of the blunders she's had over the years with some of her spells that she didn't read properly that really kind of screwed him over. I'm specifically thinking about the Mist Form. But no, that was obviously, I'm not the biggest Keyleth fan, but she does have a lot of great moments in battle. Because she's super fucking powerful. Like, she's like really super powerful. And yeah, that moment turning Raishan into a mindless dragon. I mean, because first off, she's smaller than the other dragons. The reason why she was so powerful was because her spell casting was fucking nuts. I mean, she had Meteor, which Vecna has. Like, she has the same spell, like, and it's devastating. It does like a shit ton of bludgeoning and fire damage. And like, if she didn't do that Feeblemind, they definitely would have lost. Because, like, when I was telling you about that one vestige that was, like, you know, used to detect invisibility and be immune to poison, like, to me that was meant, they should have found that if that was even in the game. But like, that was meant to, for me when I read it, like, that was meant for the Raishan fight. But they didn't have that. They didn't. It seemed like they didn't have a great strategy that fight, but that was clutch. But one thing that stuck with me after Raishan was a primal beast was when she killed Percy and was just like clawing at his remains, at his intestines, when Percy was dead. Yeah. But yeah, and then of course Carrick. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, because that, I mean, they had done a lot of planning. I mean, Cash had done a lot of planning for the Kevdak fight. But then it's true that the Raishan fight sort of came unexpected. Like all of the other dragon fights, there was they were planned in order, they took their times, but then they pretty much like just tried to run after her before she could hide.
Yeah, it was the whole, and I don't know, the whole deal they made and how they like reneged on it in a second after Kevdak was killed. That bothered me a little bit. I don't know how it all would have turned out. But yeah, they definitely, like, when they first fought Raishan, that was part of the Raishan humbling. They like literally killed Kevdak, attack her when she's starting to read the scroll or whatever, and then bam. So, but you're talking about the second encounter. But
yeah.
Yeah, they definitely did not plan properly for Raishan in both instances.
Your number 8?
Okay, yeah, my number 8. Now, I took some liberties because what I linked here for this one is the whole Grog Scanlan, or the whole Grog Craven Edge saga, which encompasses many moments, but essentially if I had to pick a particular moment, it is Grog Scanlan in the episode Best Laid Plans, episode 50, where they have this kind of poignant conversation about the sword. But just to build into that, obviously, and it's funny because Percy, who had a talking weapon, knowingly gives Grog a evil talking weapon. And this weapon desires one thing: blood. It wants to suck the life force of its enemies. It belonged to Silas Briarwood. And there was a lot of great comedic moments with the Craven Edge and Grog. Yeah, maybe you have some, so I won't go into the whole saga. But
no. Actually, it would be in my, like I said, there were so many good Grog moments. Yeah. Most of them are in my extras. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you had like the outhouse moment where Grog is pretending to take a bowel movement. And anybody's really talking to the sword, and they're having this kind of creepy conversation where Matt did a great job voicing Craven Edge. He just was so creepy, and how he wanted blood, and then he was having visions of like killing the people that he loved, killing Pike. And then Scanlan, he brings Scanlan in because, you know, Scanlan and Grog are best friends. They go to the House of Lady Favors together, and
I mean, Pike and Grog are best friends. He's second.
Well, Scanlan and they're all best friends.
Yeah,
as we know in the prologue, they all end up being best friends. But
spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, this moment he brings Scanlan because, you know, Grog is a simple-minded individual, as we talked about before. You know, he doesn't understand what's going on. He thinks that you know, that this whole thing that he thinks maybe the other people can hear the sword, and of course, Craven Edge starts talking to Scanlan, and Scanlan, you know, he comes to the conclusion that this sword is no good for Grog. I mean, Grog is a simple-minded individual with a lot of strength, and he has a blade that likes to kill people. And the best part was when he promises Grog that he's not going to tell anyone, and in that same episode, he tells Pike that Grog has a bad sword. Of course, with Travis sitting there, he knows that he told him, but the character doesn't know. But of course, in the end, as we know, in the Kamal Giori fight, Grog ends up throwing Craven Edge through the portal, impales Pike. Grog, his blade completely fed. The blade kills him. It takes his soul, and they cleanse the blade and throw it, and then they banish it, bring Grog back to life and banish it. But the Craven Edge saga was a great part of Grog, and yeah, of course.
And it could still be something that plays in the next campaign, which is exciting because given where they managed it.
Oh yeah, definitely can come back.
Which is really exciting. Weren't you a little disappointed that the sort of cast ended up being less epic than Craven Edge? I mean, not fight wise. Like the stats of the blade were obviously incredible, but roleplay wise.
Yeah, but maybe that had to just do with the soul nature of what it was. It just wanted to kill Vecna. Maybe that just didn't have enough characterization. I don't know. But no, Craven Edge was definitely cooler than the sort of cast. And like I was telling you before, when Grog pulled that fucking card, and his soul should have went into a damn sword, and it should have been the Grog blade in the next campaign. That would have been so amazing if they had the Grog blade in the next campaign. Someone if it was Travis's character was the one to grab the Grog blade. That would have been awesome.
That would.
But it won't happen.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know about the next campaign. I can't wait for the next campaign, but we'll talk about that at the end, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was that time? Oh no, UK, you just told me what your 8th favorite moment was. Okay, so my 7th favorite moment is another Grog moment. Grog being really badass. Is Grog's how do you want to do it on Kevdak? So I mean I was not that invested in the Kevdak fight for some reason. But it's really me. It's not the way it was done by any of the actors or the DM. But just the pure kill on that was probably for me the most satisfying. I mean, my memory. I might be forgetting, other how do you want to do it moments. But it's just, I'm going to try to quote it again because that's so cool when I read from my little Google Doc. So basically, Grog is up in the air. There's that character. So Vex is flying on her broom and she has a necklace in which is sort of a miniature parallel dimension. So she can have people willingly get into it. So she's on her broom on top of Kevdak, who's Grog's uncle, right? Uncle, yep. I don't want to go into all of the detail, but he's a big bad guy, and there's a lot of betrayal and anger there, and so she's flying over him. The battle has been fucking bloody. Grog's in the necklace, and so the final thing is Grog pops out of the necklace on top of Kevdak and just fucking slashes him with his sword. And it reads like that. As the shadow fires from the necklace, as she holds it aloft, bleeding and shaking, you appear and dive down in silence. The square coming towards you as Kevdak, clutching in the one nearly ruined arm, the other arm that you bisected is turning the corner, about to open the door to dive into the house to avoid it, looks up just in time to see you streaking down. What do? Grog, I say, for strong Joe! And I sink the axe right into his neck and part him perfectly down the middle. So then it's again the DM describing, with the sheer force of the blow, the weight behind it, and the intent, the axe hits him right in the side of the neck, cleaves off part of his part of his ear, shaves off part of his skin here, exposing the jawbone, hits here. I mean, showing, you can see it on camera, it's showing where the blade is hitting. Breaks the clavicle, tears through, and every single rib is destroyed. It cuts right through the center of this giant body, until it gets to about the midsection where it catches finally. The upper torso splits open and covers you with gore. However, you're still impact, not raging. If you drop to 0 hit point while raging, you're not raging. So yeah, as you shout out the blow in a very Superman versus Doomsday way, cleaves him in half, and as you slam into the ground, you pull the axe free as your shattered leg bones give under and you fall to the ground. You smile as you see his form crumple, and then you impact face first into the ground before him. Like, fucking motherfucking badass.
Indeed.
If it's not on your list, if it is, no spoilers, but what's your favorite? How do you want to do it?
My favorite how you want to do it was probably that one. I would say. Yeah. Oh, well, Percy did have a good one too. Against
Delilah?
Professor Anders.
Oh,
when he said something like, and he's like, and you're the one I was looking for to kill last, and then bam, right in the head. Yeah, there's been a lot of great ones, but that one's on there, and you know, I will add my thoughts on that pretty soon. Hint,
ooh, hint.
But do you want me to go on to my number 7, or?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. My number 7, I wrote Sprigg.
Oh, that's only your number 7?
There's a lot of great moments. But yeah, number 7 is Sprigg. All of it. Darren DePaul played Sprigg magnificently. And I didn't really know who he was before he came on the show, but then I looked at his credits, and yeah, he's played a lot of great characters in video games and stuff that I've watched. And yeah, he's got a very powerful, resonant voice. And he played a wonderful character named Sprigg. And I'll let you kind of do more of the backstory stuff, since I'm sure that it's higher on your list. But
it is higher on my list.
Yeah, so I'll save most of it for you. But essentially, he's just a very
I have quotes as always.
Okay. Well, the background of his character. Yeah, the background of his character was that he was part of a party 37 years ago, which was an actual party of Matt's mother that he was with, and so it was cool seeing that dynamic play out. And I guess from what I read in that previous campaign, his character was actually evil. He was chaotic evil. And it's just a good redemption story, his arc that he went through. But I'll leave the rest for you. In particular, the moment that I picked was kind of his cryptic prophecies, or his cryptic saying what he wants from each character, how that Grog has strength, and Vex has sadness, and he was going around the table, and then he got to Scanlan.
No, go ahead, because actually I did not quote that one, because I figured you were going to quote that one, so quote another one.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have the exact quote, but I just remember, he's saying you're me, you're I'm your dark mirror, because they find out his story is that he ran away and left people to die, and now Scanlan's sitting there oh shit, am I gonna do the same thing? Am I the same kind of person? And that was just an epic. The whole exchange was just epic, and Darren DePaul did just a marvelous job in that episode, and he was one of the best guests, if not the best guest they had on the show.
Yeah, to me, it was definitely the best guest.
Yeah, that was my particular moment. Was that I'm sure you'll have more to add when it gets to you.
Yeah. No, that was It's just I'm so disappointed it's so on your list. God.
Well, I'm Scanlan fanboy. There's a lot of Scanlan moments coming up.
Yeah. I try to be fair. I a lot of feels, but we'll discuss that because it's higher on my list. My number 6 favorite episode is actually totally cheating because it's not even in the episode, but it's in the episode 100 Unfinished Business, and it is the Slayer's Cake commercial. In episode, what was the break? Episode 95, I think. Yep. So, at the end of episode, 1, 2, 3. Wow. The Chroma Conclave's arc ends, I think, like on episode 94. And then episode 95 opens on a 1 year later. Am I right, or am I totally forgetting things?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think
mean, they're finishing a big thing, and before they move on, like, there's that episode that is like no enemies, no fighting. Like, what do you do for your now that you can relax for your?
I think the Chroma Conclave actually concluded around episode 85, and then they just did some random things up till then. Like they did like Keyleth Aramente.
Oh, the Rakshasa?
Yeah, they went and killed the Rakshasa. They went and did the Rakshasa. Yeah, they did like some random things after the Chroma Conclave. Yeah. Up until then, the break.
But yeah, there were, no more enemies in sight at that point. Little did they know the greatest enemy was looming underneath Whitestone. But yeah, so it was just like a shopping episode. And so, long story long, as they say. During that time, a bunch of our favorite characters decide that they're going to stay in Whitestone, which has been destroyed, and they need to rebuild it, and they are going to build a bakery, pretty much. And so in episode 100, during there's always a break in the middle of the episode where they can go have a drink and everything, and there is a commercial for the Slayer's cake. And I mean, I just click on just that link, which is my favorite number 6, because you don't need to understand anything, I think, to just appreciate that. It's just a fucking hilarious moment of comedy. I had totally forgotten about it, to be honest, and it was researching links for this video that I saw that on the side of my YouTube page, and clicked on it, and yeah, so I had to add it. So yeah, it's Sam, but he's not playing Scanlan there. He's playing Tari, another character, and he's like, "Hello there, I'm Taryon Darrington of the Slayer's Cake. The Slayer's Cake, your pals in a pastry pinch. Go now, okay." Heading to a fancy banquet and not sure if your hosts aren't dead? Slayer's Cake. Say it's Winter's Crest and you don't know what to get your secret Serenray? Possibly because you've never given a gift before? It could happen. Slayer's Cake. We even have miniature cakes for that special gnome one in your life. And then Vex says, "Those are cupcakes, Tari." Again, I'm not doing it any justice. I'm sure you're not laughing there, but click on the link and you're gonna laugh.
No, it's very funny, and I could tell that Sam Riegel is the one that wrote that, because he's done like tremendous little plugs throughout the whole series, like just even like before the episodes even start, that he's cracking out the funny stuff, and that's why Sam Riegel is the best. And I would never want him to be off the show.
No, Sam's the best. We agree. Yeah, they don't really do it that much anymore, because now they have a different form of advertising. But in the earlier episodes, they would open with the sponsors, and Sam would always semi-improvise a commercial for the sponsors. And if you listen to their podcast, like, you have him doing, again, like his funny spoof, but real commercial for their sponsor. And so, yeah, he's really, really good at that.
Indeed. Well, my number 6 is a continuation of one of your earlier ones. It is the epic Grog confrontation of Kevdak. And I'll do some continuation here. There is definitely a history between the characters. Kevdak is Grog's uncle. Kevdak beat the shit out of Grog because Grog didn't want to kill Pike's grandfather. Wilhan was just a helpless little gnome, because Grog is not evil. He's not necessarily good, but he's not evil. And he refused to do it. He kicks, Kevdak's a strong dude, and he just beats the shit out of Grog almost to death. They actually think he's dead. And then, of course, Pike nurses him back to health, and him and Pike become great friends. But yeah, they come across Westrun the Goliaths had taken over that storm, or the herd of storms has taken over Western. So this is Grog's arc, and it was good to see Grog. You know, as we talked about, Grog is generally generally he's a comedic character, but here we actually see him get to be serious, and he has great lines in this particular episode, the kill box, where he comes in, and it's good to see Travis being able to act. He gets to act awesomely here, and he comes in and he says, like, the mighty Kevdak, bending the knee, like questioning his manhood. This great big Goliath is supposed to be the leader of the herd, and then he said the great line, do you squat when you pee? And like you can see his wife Laura, who plays Vex, laughing her ass off when he says it. So that's just a great moment to me, just seeing him, Grog, standing up to the man who he's actually scared of him too. He talks about how he's scared of Kevdak, and he puts out those one-liners. And then of course, and talked about the epic killing blow, which was just a great epic killing blow. And there was an added caveat to that, because after they killed Kevdak, the herd of storms was still fucking a threat. And Matt Mercer said in an interview, or he did a video where he explained that if anyone other than Grog would have got the killing blow on Kevdak, the herd of storms wouldn't have stopped attacking them. And who knows what would have happened then? I mean, they were in rough shape. Grog died. He didn't die, but he was unconscious on that killing blow. They were all in bad shape. There was a lot of shit going on. So that was a pretty epic moment. And
yeah, that was a very epic battle also, because like a lot of their battles have been sort of outside of living grounds. That does not make sense. But okay, in the final Vecna battle, they had the looming threat of Vasselheim being destroyed, but they were on like Tharamphala above the air. Nothing they did could hurt people. Like there, they were fighting in the middle of the village with the villagers around. So that was in the village where not any random village, the village where Pike and Grog grew up. Yeah,
that was a great moment, and I just love when he goes in there. Oh, the mighty Kevdak, bending the knee. Like it was just epic. Travis is epic when he wants to be. He can be really epic. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, again, I'm so excited for him next season.
Yes, hopefully playing. I want to see him playing. Well, this is going off.
Yeah, we're repeating what we said in the last video, but
I just want to be a play like a Holy Paladin or something cool, like a Blood Hunter, or someone with intelligence.
Yeah, definitely. Because maybe you have not watched our previous video, which you should do, where we discuss what we'd like to see for the next campaign. Yeah, so I don't really have anything to add with that. To add to that, the reason why they were having that fight was that they were trying to collect vestiges to fight the dragons, and Grog's got the Titan Stone knuckles that give him extra power. So
I just want to add one thing that I forgot to mention with that. It's when he was talking to Vex, I believe. Or he was talking to the party, and he said, like, he was like, you guys know that I'm willing to die for anything. I'm willing to stand up and die in any fight, but I do not want to die to Kevdak, is what he said. So, like, that was good also to see vulnerability in Grog's character too, because he's up to that point, he's just been, the killing machine. He don't give a fuck about anything. He's up in the fray. So it was good to see that vulnerability, which added more weight to that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that is good that almost every character had their character's arc. I've said almost because Pike, that episode, you can't really call that a character's arc. And well, Keyleth Aramente, I guess because of the way it ended up being really spread out, didn't also work like a real seminal moment for her. But each of their characters grew so much after that. They I guess I've never played D&D yet, but they began as pretty one-tone, one-dimensional characters, and then they became more and more and more and more complex as the story progressed. But Like there was really a turning point for each of them when they had their special character arc.
Definitely.
So can I move to my number 5? I can't believe we're there already. So it's there could actually be 2 moments, but I picked one. That's the first time Vox Machina, Critical Role made me cry, and it's Carrick's conversation to Keyleth. So I can't remember what episode the first conversation was in, but then a couple of episodes later in episode 69 called "Passed Through Fire," Carrick sends a letter to Keyleth, and just so you know, oh my god, now I just forgot his name. Carrick is played by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm butchering the author's name. Who's an amazing author. I've refused to read his book series because it's not finished, and I'm not starting another unfinished book series. But I've heard from everyone that it was like mind-blowingly good, and yeah, you can really see that was written by an author. So here, there's a real reason for me to read the letter to you, because it doesn't really involve any acting that I can't do. So Carrick is talking about rebuilding a city. The previous conversation he had with Keyleth has been, feeling really bad all throughout the Chroma Conclave arc because, yes, they do defeat evil dragons, but they have to cause a lot of damage doing that. Obviously, that ties back a little bit to what I was saying before, like where they usually don't fight in the middle of the city. You can't make an omelet without breaking eggs, and that was a big problem for Keyleth, who was not at all an utilitarian before. And there's a turning point for her there where she starts to embrace more and more the utilitarian philosophy. And so Carricks go back to the cities from which name I forgot, obviously, and he's trying to rebuild it a little bit. And he sends that letter to Keyleth. But a city is not a sword, it's a living thing, and living things defy simple fixing. Roots cannot be reforged, they scar, and broken branches must be cut and sealed with tar. And this makes me angry, as it always has, and my anger has no place to go. It was easier when I was young. I could use my anger like a hammer against the world. I was so sure of myself and my friends and my rightness. I would hammer at the world, and breaking felt like making to me. And I was good at it. And while I was not wrong, neither was I entirely right. Nothing is simple. I do not work in wood. I am not brave enough for that. There is a comfort in iron, a promise of safety, a second chance if mistakes are made. But a city is more a forest than a sword. No, it needs more tending than that. Perhaps a city is like a garden then. So these days, it seems that I have become a gardener. You have the heart of a gardener, and because of this, you think of consequences, and your current path pains you. I am not wise, and I do not give advice, but I have come to know a few things. Sometimes breaking is making. Even iron can start again, and there are many things that move through fire and find themselves much better for it afterwards. Yeah, crying again. So yeah, that was a
No, that was definitely a great moment. I like Carrick as a character. I wasn't necessarily enamored with how. Oh, I'm cutting out. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily enamored with how Patrick Rothfuss played D&D because I think he's from a different style. But I really well, like he was much more like explain what he's doing as opposed to acting it out. Which I think that's just part of, you know, the way, there's different ways to play D&D. That's just how he played it, I imagine.
I mean, could it also be because he's an author and they're actors? I mean, like, that's
right.
sort of how I felt it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think he was terrible or anything. I think he was still a great on there. And especially I liked his, the second part when they brought him back on for the Raishan stuff. But yeah, no, that was cool. I really enjoyed that letter, and that the fact that, you know, he did a voice, they had, you know, he did a voice recording for it. And he has a good voice. He has like a good reading voice. Yeah, that was cool. I don't necessarily know if, I mean, do you feel like Keyleth learned anything from it, or like actually?
No, I mean, I'm going to try to, like, that video be Keyleth friendly as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
okay. Well.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if she learned anything from it, but yeah, definitely you can see that in the latest episode, she is becoming an utilitarian. She was against reviving Kaylie because he would waste a spell against Vecna. So maybe it just took longer for her to get that.
Yeah. Man, I think I'm having some computer issues here, but yeah, it was a good moment though. That's all I got to say on that.
It is, like I said, not a fan. I was not a fan of Carrick, but just that letter made me cry. So yeah, it's in. I want my, you know, I want my story to make me laugh and to make me cry.
Me too. I'm the same way. Well, I'll go on to my number 5, which I wrote. A wild Taryon Darrington appears. The episode is Bard's Lament. It is the, I don't have the exact timestamp, but it's in the later part of the episode. Essentially, the crew has just experienced the leaving of Scanlan. They're all like shocked. They're like, man, is Sam leaving? Like Liam was even like, oh, you know, he was even like hugging him, like, man, you know, this is the last time I'm going to see you on the show or whatever. Like, and it was an emotional moment. Like that could have been on there itself, the Scanlan's leaving of the party. But no, like, we have this amazing troll job between Sam and Matt, setting up this character, just randomly, you know, Matt's doing his normal, you know, describing a character. Yeah, describing what they look like, you know, opulent male, wearing great armor, handsome young man. And then he says, and then like Sam just perfectly just comes in and, what, you there? You know, and he does this great, I love his Taryon. Taryon is one of my favorite characters as well. And they just like, just the look on their faces of just like pure, like, Laura was pissed. She had like, her mouth was wide open. She was trying to throw something at him. Marisha was going crazy. Travis was happy about it. He was happy about it. And just the way that he, you know, he's just the way the character was. Like, he was like, and I believe what I heard, and the way that the character was, he was supposed to be like Gilroy Lockhart from Harry Potter.
I have not read Harry Potter. Sorry,
my computer's going crazy again. But yeah, well, essentially he is a buffoon. Like he's like a buffoon kind of wizard that is like super rich, and he just tries to get by with all his money, and he's kind of a buffoon. And he's like, you know, got flowery blonde hair, and but yeah, the character was great. Like he had this list of all this crazy stuff he needed to do. He also had a crazy golem that was writing his exploits. He was trying to make an adventuring book. Of course, we all end up learning to love Taryon and the great character that he was. Well, I did. I guess you didn't, but I did.
No, I you know, like, that could be a big point of contention for us, but I prefer Tiberius to Tari.
Oh, okay, that's going to be definitely a big point of contention for us. But we'll avoid that. But this particular moment, like, just Sam trolling them hard. Like, when they're introducing themselves, and, you know, he says, "You little elf girl," to Vex, who's, you know, this like proud kind of warrior woman. You know, she's a ranger, but she's a strong woman, and by this rando. And he does it all the time. He calls Vax little elf boy. He gets their names all wrong. He only cares about Percy. it's just that was just great. And then of course at the end of the episode when like Liam is like, this dillweed, this douchebag, and then Sam goes, "Oh, this is gonna be fun," and they just all end up cracking up. And then at the end of the episode, they're like, "Oh, you rip our hearts out, and you bring this douchebag in," and it was just the whole crew was throwing stuff at Sam. Marisha was pissed at Matt. It was just a great moment.
Yeah, and isn't that like, because I can't remember if it's that way or the other way around, that there's that visual scene. Okay, like if you saw my thumbnail on Twitter, or if you watch that video later and you see that thumbnail, my thumbnail is basically a bunch of pictures of Scanlands with his mug. So because he's a gnome, and in some episode they all got like sort of medieval looking mug for their water on set. And because he's a gnome, he got like a cooler that was huge given to him as a mug, so it would like be the size of what a normal mug would be to a gnome. And so that's iconic of Scanlan. He has that very big mug. And I think there it's like the mug disappears, and like when he becomes Taryon, he just has a tiny mug that's exactly the same, but the normal size of a mug, which is tiny in comparison. And that was just like, fuck you.
Yeah. That was like the symbol of, this shit's going down. Actually, I think what happened was he had the little one inside the big one, and he pulled it out from there just to troll him, and then pulled out the new character sheet. It was a great troll job.
Such a troll, yeah. That was a good moment. Okay, so I guess time for me to go to my fourth favorite moment, which is just basically a great role-playing moment from I would say my favorite of all of Critical Role, which is one of Matt Mercer's NPCs. It was also really tough to pick which NPC. I thought about having Gilmore's introduction in my list, but then you have to cut somewhere. And honestly, I think to me the most memorable NPC played by Matt Mercer is Victor, the Black Powder Merchant. So there I did not get any quotes because he doesn't really say anything incredible. It's the way he acts. He describes him as having like really long limbs and sort of standing like that, and he's pretty much imitating characters from Monty Python and Holy Grail. Like I think I can't remember if they're peasants or if it's a witch, but it's exactly what he's playing as Victor. And we see Victor's a couple of times. He's fucking iconic. And it was even Matt for the Halloween episode ended up dressing up as Victor. And it's really something you have to see. So please click on the link because it's so funny. I should remember to add the link to the Monty Python Holy Grail character that it's sort of inspired by, because it's very funny. Think just medieval crazy peasant. I won't even try to imitate him because that would be ridiculous.
Also believe that he was made up on the spot, which adds to the brilliance, because he didn't know that Percy was going to go after Black Powder. And he's the Black Powder Merchant, and he is hilarious. I think he's only in twice. He's in the series twice, but both times he's hilarious. And Matt, another great one that he did on the spot too was Tyriok, the map maker.
Yeah, sorry, I'm starting coughing. Yeah, Tarek was really, really good too. Not as iconic as Victor, but just please, if you don't know who Victor is, just click on the link. And yeah, you're right. I think twice plus on the Halloween episode, he was dressed as Victor and did that little bit of the introduction as Victor, which was very funny too. But just crazy, goofy, hilarious character. So yeah, that was quick for me, but like that's something that really stuck with me.
Right. No, yeah, Victor was great. My number 4 is actually from a rather kind of dumb thing that they were doing, and the fight wasn't even that great. They were in the City of Bronze.
That was good. The City of Bronze was good.
Yeah. Well, they were in the City of Bronze, and they were fighting a pit fiend. They were fighting a pit fiend. The episode is Brawl for the Arches, or Under the Arches. It's like episode, I don't remember the exact one, but it's linked. It's linked down there. But yeah, this particular moment I'm talking about is the awakening of Mythcarver. When Sam, who made a promise to his daughter, or not Sam, Scanlan, made a promise to his daughter that he would stay alive, he ran away, and that was part of the thing that awoken Mythcarver. And then he had the killing blow with the awakened Mythcarver, which he never even used before. They had to convince him to use it. They were like, use it. And he got the killing blow on the pit fiend. But then, of course, after the fight, they had the guard. I forget what they were exactly what they were called. But there was, like, Matt revealed that there was going to be like 500 of them coming after him in the City of Bronze. But they were essentially these badass guards of the City of Bronze. They're like, of the fire elemental plane. And that would have been bad for them. They would have had to think on their feet to get out of there. But of course, they luckily had Scanlan, he's always had great uses of his modified memory. He's used it to, in this regard, he's used it to score drugs. But in this instance, he had the clutch modified memory to say, like, hey, you were with us when you saw this pit fiend. I forget exactly what he said, but he was doing something wrong. Or no, he was plotting against the Sultan of the City of Bronze, and you came and helped us, and now we're on the same team. And like when all these guards were starting to swarm on him, like they're like, whatever, you're bullshitting, but whatever. And Sam was able to get him out of that situation, Scanless, and proved his worth once again, over and over again.
Definitely. Did they go to the City of Bronze once or twice?
Once.
So that was basically right after we got Mythcarver, right? Because that's from the City of Bronze. No?
Yeah, it wasn't too. I mean, it was a little bit afterwards, but because they got Mythcarver before. This was like in the 50s, like episode 50. This was like episode 70 something.
I know, I'm saying stupid thing. In the City of Bronze, they got Pike's vestige.
Yeah. All with this pit fiend. I don't remember the exact ramifications of everything. I remember they got involved with the pit fiend, and yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think your internet is misbehaving a bit.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
But yes, Scanlan and his modified memory. I think my favorite one was okay. I'll wait until we do our honorable mentions because that could be on your list. So I don't want to ruin your list. So my third favorite moment of the Vox Machina campaign is another Scanlan moment, and it's Spice. So it's from episode 65, The Streets of Anchorel. They are looking at that point for a market. Yeah, just basically to find information. They're trying to find their way around the city. They figure out, we should get ourselves towards the big central market and we can go from there. And Scanlan just, I should backtrack a little bit. Okay, now of course, me and memory and names. What's the name of the captain of the guard from Anchorel?
Jarrett.
Yeah, Jarrett told them. So they asked, like, well, what's like, because he's from Anchorel. Like, do you want us to bring something back from there? Is there something really precious? And he talked about spice. And so there's that old, amazing joke because Jarrett just really means cooking spice, and Scanlan, for some reason, thinks it's a code name for drugs. And so he's asking his way around to some kids and asking for the market, and then he starts, going on a rant. Like, it ends with, "Thank you, young man, for your help, and also your spice." And yeah, anyone who's watched Critical Role knows that moment, and it's totally iconic. And because Sam, so the actor, plays it to the point, just too much enough. It's like when they think he's done with that joke, just it will continue a little bit, and it's like, yeah, it's almost broke Matt, the DM.
Well, my number 3 moment, Anne, is also
Spice.
But yeah, because first of all, I love the name of it, Fusaka. Like, that is such a cool name for this spice. And the reason why they did think that it was essentially drugs is because Jarrett is banned from going back to Ank'Harel. So they thought that he was, shady, like in some shady business. And that's the reason why they thought that maybe this Fusaka is, drugs. And I'll go a little further. I personally, my particular favorite part of, first, just the way that Sam did it, like, you spice. Like, it was like, yeah,
No,
it was super funny. And then
we're not cops.
Yeah.
So spice.
Yeah, and then there was also Taliesin, who plays Percy, at the same time, like, "Oh man, don't be selling these kids meth, or don't be buying meth from these kids." And yeah, my favorite part is when they actually do the exchange to get the Fusaka. And at the end, he's trying to, he says he's got long fingernails because he plays a lute, and he tries to sniff it, and then he wants to smoke it, and then he tries to eat it, and then the guy's like looking at him funny, and then he asks him, "Well, what should I call you?" "You can call me the Meat Man." Yeah, it's like, what? That was like so ridiculous and so hilarious at the same time. And then of course, him and the gang, they're in their room trying to get high off this stuff. They can't get high, and Vex is like, "Well, fuck this." She goes downstairs and talks to the innkeeper, and lost. Am I good?
You froze a bit.
Okay. Well, yeah. So she goes down there, and yeah, she finds out that it's a cooking spice, and that they're all fucking idiots. And then of course Scanlan's on this whole hell bent. He wants to go on revenge on these guys for screwing him over.
Yeah, but then they sold him what he asked for, and it's another amazing moment of role playing, because that was obviously, not in Matt's script, but then he drove not only a lot of that episode, but which turned out then into a little bit of a shopping episode, which is Scanlan and his spies. But then the Meat Man turned into a thing, and influenced a lot of things to come, just from that 1 second of genius going to "Do you spice?"
Yeah, and that's what makes Critical Role great. I mean, just stuff like that.
Again, best TV show ever. So yeah, okay. So yeah, episode number 3, Twinsies. So my number 2, well, is one you've talked about before. So it's from episode 105, The Fear of Isolation, and it's pretty much the introduction of the character of Sprigg, played by Darren DePaul. So Sprigg doesn't have a huge role to play in the overall story. We only really see him for 2 episodes, and yeah, he doesn't even interact that much in the second episode. Basically, it's during the preparation for the fight against Vecna, they need to go and see some gods to ask for some blessings. A little bit of a repeat of what happened before the Chroma Conclave, fight, where they want to get, they visit places to get the vestiges, and they want to go and see Ayun, and they get from some information that the key to see Ayun is hidden somewhere in the woods, and then they go looking for that key, and then they realize that it's Sprigg that is the key. But yeah, it's just, I mean, like, yeah, to me, Darren DePaul is the best guest they've ever had. It's the best fucking moment of role playing that I've seen. It totally blew my mind. Like, that man is so amazing. I don't know what else to say. And yeah, I mean, he has such good line, and he's both. What's crazy is that, like, in one sentence, like the richness of tones that he can have, and he goes from saying something like really sad or melancholic to something really funny. So yeah, it's a mix of moments like when he talks about his friends, and that is the only one left, and that is all alone. And Keyleth asks him, "What's your name, friend?" And Sprigg replies, "Oh, well, that was taken from me a very long time ago. I only have what they call me. You know, names are odd things, aren't they? Sometimes a name can stick to you like blood on a knife, or your fingers on a wallet that might not be your property. And then who you were is not who you are, and yet here we are." Like, like something really somber and tragic and philosophical, and then 2 seconds later you switch to his interaction with the monster, the Mystric, the imp, the Mystric, that is like just total slapstick and ridiculous. That little imp is stuck with him because at some point someone tried to invade his house and Spree killed him, but then the imp stayed. And so they're like two grumpy old men stuck together in that tiny gnome house. And Sprigg tells him, "I think you should go to Craghammer and become a circus performer with a little tin cup and a little tin hat and say, 'Oh dear, I am the Mystric, the magical imp. That's where you belong. I tell you right now.'" And then so Matt, the DM playing the Mystric, is like, "Sounds like a lot more fun than having to deal with you on a daily basis, you son of a..." And language, imp. Yeah, just like really hilarious moment. There's like the extent of his acting register on improv on such a short time, because when you think about it, it's like, well, there's a good third of the episode that is, they're in the forest looking for him, avoiding fights. Then they find him, and then the second half of the episode, it's a big fight at the house. So there's not that much interaction, and yet that's like one moment that totally stuck with me.
Right. I'd say the word for his performance was mesmerizing. His whole performance was mesmerizing. And yeah, he was just a great character, and it was good to see, get a redemption in the end. He had so many good lines, and I'm glad that he was a part of it. Even though he didn't have a big role in the overarching plot, I'm glad that he was a part of it, because it just wouldn't have been the same after, seeing it, and then it just wouldn't have been the same if he wasn't there.
I totally agree.
And watch his performance as Emperor Valkorin from Star Wars: The Old Republic. Like, his voice in that, like, is so good, so deep and resonant, and has so much gravitas towards it. Like, I'd like to see him come back as a different guest and play someone, like that. Like, that'd be cool. But yeah, great moment.
Definitely. I'm sorry, I was realizing that I totally forgotten to put my little... Okay, I can't get my little down bar the way you did. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm a little sad. I can't get the down bar, but I'll survive. I was terribly unprepared. Okay, so now we're like getting to our favorite... Oh, no, you didn't tell me your second favorite moment. Sorry.
My number 2, which might be your number 1, I'm not sure, is Scanlan Epic Counterspells versus Vecna. I'm counting both of them. The first one was awesome because
Yeah, the first one was.
Because yeah, they're like, oh, come on, man, you need to read the book. You need to read the book. Like, what are you doing? You need to read the book. And he's like, no. He played it off at first because he didn't want. I don't think he wanted to tip it off to Matt what he was trying to do here. Everyone's I need to cough.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can move on. No, you're done. Okay,
No,
you're good.
I'm good. But yeah, like he didn't want to tip off to Matt what he was trying to do, but like he has the big of his hand takes him up to about 60 feet within Vecna, and Marisha's over there. It's like, what are you doing? You know, she's getting kind of angry at him. Like, you're supposed to hold your action so you can read the book. And you know, he goes up there, he inspires Grog, and he's like, that's my turn. And they're like all kind of like, what are you doing? But then of course, Vecna goes to banish Grog and Pike. And Scanlan says, boom, motherfucker, here's a counterspell for your ass. And he says, that's the reason why I went up there. And so everyone's like, oh,
definitely.
yeah, like, oh, yeah, Scanlan's a genius.
And that was so fun, and he was having so much fun doing it at that point. Like this, the two counterspells are totally different one from the other. There was like, that's why I went up 150. That's why I wanted to be 150 feet away from him, motherfucker. And then he's like, marker drop.
Yeah. Now, were you going to be talking about the other one? Because we can talk about that.
Yeah, that's my number one.
Okay. Well, we'll hold off on the second one then. We'll hold off on the second one. But
okay,
yeah,
so maybe you want to tell us switch order and tell us what your number one favorite moment is.
Okay. My number one favorite moment is Kaylie revealed. This actually did make me tear up a little bit. This whole situation. Kaylie, of course, ends up being Scanlan's daughter. The parts that I enjoy most is relational drama. Like that's kind of stuff that I like. And of course, Scanlan wasn't necessarily the most mature gnome in his day. He planted very many a seed throughout Taldore and Exandria as a whole. And yeah, you know, he meets up the first in the episode. Sorry, A Musician's Nostalgia. He, which is episode 38. He sees his old troupe, Dr. Dramsel's troupe. I forget what the exact name of it. And they have a great time, you know, catching up with Dr. Dramsel. He goes on stage and performs with this little mousy kind of pixie-haired, brown-haired gnome girl that he is, you know, Scanlan, he wants to woo any female, has an affinity for her. He's trying to bet her from the start because that's what Scanlan does. And they have a flout-off, as I like to call it, and Scanlan lets her win, of course, losing 2,500 gold in the process, and they invite them back to Greyskull Keep afterwards. They come back. She wants to go up to Scanlan's room with a bottle of wine. Everyone's thinking, oh, what's going to happen here? You know, Scanlan is going to get, you know, what he wants. And then, of course, the tables get turned. As we learn in a great speech by Matt, you know, the hints are dropped. You know, he drops that you know, a wild gnome flew off, you know, running away from their mother, and you can see Liam and Laura. They know what's going on. Travis takes him a second, but he puts Travis does thing where he like puts his shirt over his mouth when like big dramatic moments are happening. And yeah, you know, the acting between Sam and Matt was great in this when it's revealed. You know, she pulls out a knife and you know, she wants to attack him because he abandoned their family. You know, he doesn't even remember Sybil, her mother, you know, and that pissed her off. But Sam, you know, Sam has this great speech where he talks about how, you know, he made a lot of mistakes, but he's changing his life, you know, and he tells her, you know, that knowing among my many faults, ego is one of them, and knowing that you're a part of me makes me love you more. That's just one of those great Scanlan lines. And he actually got an advantage roll on that too, because of that line. And of course, He rolls a 20. She rolls a 1 when
One.
she goes to attack him. Yeah. And they embrace. And it's just a great moment. And the relationship as a whole, it wasn't the greatest relationship ever, but that particular moment was great. I love that moment. It's my favorite moment. I watched that moment the most. Just because I like seeing the reactions of everybody during that whole scene. And yeah, it's just, to me, it's a great moment. My favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I so when I asked people on Reddit what their favorite moments were, that came up a lot. But I don't know. I never got into the old Kaylie Scanlan dynamic relationship. Like I don't know. It's not something that really touched me or that I really cared for at any point. I could have gone without it. So that's why it's not even in my. That's not even in my extra moments.
Well, I think ultimately, for me, the best part of it was how Scanlan got out of it. How he got out of the situation with using his guile and wit. And that's why I love Scanlan. And that's the reason why if I play a character in Dungeons & Dragons, I want to play a bard. And I will be playing a bard sometime, hopefully. But
with a really cool name.
Yes. Yes. Bergen the Bird. Coming to a table near you, hopefully, someday.
Yeah. I mean, after you're become James the amazing DM.
Hopefully, yes.
Oh, hopefully soon.
No. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I'm still undecided between I think I want to be a elven monk. I think. But I'm not I want to keep two options. I want to keep my options open.
It's always good to keep your options open.
Yeah. Either that or God, I forgot the name of that race again. God damn it, why can't I remember anything? Half human, half celestial.
I know what you're talking about, but I forget what it's called.
Yeah, druid. One or the other. Still unsure. Yeah, okay, but that was neither here nor there. So yes, my number one moment is in episode 114, Vecna the Ascended, the second counterspell. So oh my god, I'm I'm literally tearing up thinking about it. So okay, it got me the first time I watched the episode. It got me even more the second time I watched the episode. And then I watched a video of freaking Matt Colville talking about that episode, and I saw Matt Colville cry, and then I could never stop crying. So basically, it's a little hard to explain. I mean, I'm sure James would explain better than I could, but at that point, they've put two Tremels into Vecna. Yeah. Into Vecna. And did they start reading the book? Do they have one fill in the book already? Well, anyway, they're about to read the book that is the Tome of Banishment to push him beyond the Divine Gate so he can be sealed forever. But they have not done that yet. And Vecna is attempting to cast, I don't know what spell it is, to bamf out.
Just teleportation.
Teleportation. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what spell it was, so I didn't want to say something stupid. And they can, like, the crew can see him starting to prepare the spell, and like Vex and like, oh my god, it's like, and Scanlan is saying, so they sort of want to push Scanlan to use it, and Scanlan's like, is it worth it? And Vex like, yeah, he's gonna teleport. And then he goes, and so he asks the DM, do I have a reaction? The DM says yes. The DM asks, are you gonna try to counterspell? And then, like, you can see Scanlan, who was so happy about his last counterspell. Like, yeah, I did it, motherfucker. There's like, yeah, I'm gonna counterspell, like really looking really pitiful. And Matt asks what level, and then Scanlan says, I mean Sam, because at that point the thing is that it's not Scanlan anymore. Scanlan being the character, Sam Riegel being the actor playing the character. As you can see, it's Sam peeking through. And Sam goes 9th. And so, yeah, the counterspell works because it's an automatical succeed if it's at 9th level. Vecna used all of his resistance. Oh no, he did not use one of his resistance there. Or, yeah, used it already. I can't remember, like, the reading of the books when it comes, but it doesn't matter anyway. He succeeds. And then you see, you should have a happy Sam, but then you see a really sad Sam, and you see him saying, I was going to say Vax, and he starts tearing up. You can see the actor who, like, never does that. Never, ever does that. Like, you know, like Keyleth, Vax, I mean, especially Keyleth and Vax, they're crying all the time. They're like, you know, fountains. Like anything a little sad happen, their characters just starts crying. Like you never see Scanlan or Sam cry ever. And then you see him start crying when it should be like a really happy moment because they're defeating the big bad guy. And then you understand that it's not Scanlan, it's Sam being really sad because his best friend, his character, is gonna die. I mean, he's not gonna die, but he's, you know, gonna be taken away, won't be able to have a happy ending like the rest of them. And he loves, so, oh my God, I'm gonna cry again. Please go on, James.
Okay. For just for reference, Vax, played by Liam, that is Sam's real life best friend. They're real life best friends. So, they actually do like podcasts together and stuff. But like Vax's character is a revenant. He is a revenant. He struck a deal with his god, the Raven Queen, that once, and what a revenant is, it's like a being hell bent on killing one thing. Like you can keep coming back to life until that thing is killed. And so once Vecna is gonna die, he's gone. So that he was trying to save his 9th level spell Wish to try and find a way to save Vax. And actually what it was is because the reason the counterspell was instantaneously worked is because that if it's a counterspell, if it's cast at 2 levels higher than the spell, it's on automatic succeed.
Yeah. And
since that spell level 7, he knew that he could have used a different counterspell, but he would have to roll for it. This was an important moment where like you needed to do it without a roll because he's gone otherwise. So that's the reason why he had to use it. And
combined to the fact that using Wish was going to be a gamble, you know, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's a sad moment. It's actually the second time that Sam has cried on the show, though. You might want to go and look. It's when they're resurrecting Percy after he got killed by Ripley. That's the only other time you can see Sam visually crying.
Yeah, yeah. But all I'm saying is that it's not like,
yeah, it's very rare.
Vax is crying all the time. Keyleth is crying all the time. It's like, oh, if a fly just died, oh my God, a fly just died. Like we just killed a fly, you know. But Scanlan,
yeah, it's very rare.
So
and the only person.
Yeah. Sorry.
The only crying that's less rare than Scanlan crying is Travis crying, because I don't think I've ever seen Travis crying.
Yeah.
No, I mean that was just it's
because even at that point, like once the entire crew realized what was going on, they all started crying, and not but except for Travis.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments where if you just like sit back and you realize what's happening, the weight of the moment. It is a great moment. I mean,
yeah, and okay, why I picked it as my number one is because everybody who watches Critical Role says that it's not only a great D&D story, it's also the story of the friendship of the people that you see on screen. Who, I mean, they were, some were friends. Like I think Marisha and Taliesin were friends. I mean, and Laura and oh God, God.
Liam?
No, and Travis, they were married, I think, already at that point, or I mean, or they were seriously dating. But it's like, yeah, they were not all friends. Some of them were like work buddies, you know. Like, yeah, I think Sam knew none of those guys except for Liam, and it was for whose birthday was that? Their first game.
It was for Liam's birthday.
Okay, so yeah, Liam's birthday. They asked Matt to throw their first game, invite Sam, and even picked his character because Sam had never played D&D before. And then that's the story of 7, 8 years later. Oh, they're like now all really close and really friends. And so that counterspell is also the story of that. It's like when life meets art, and that's why it's my. And I want to cry again. Oh my fucking god, what's wrong with me?
Honorable mentions.
Okay, but yeah. Also, if you want to cry a lot, watch that, and then watch Matt Colville cry on camera talking about that, and everybody's crying.
It was a great moment.
Honorable mentions. Okay. My first honorable mention. What? Okay, I'm not on the right page. Sorry. My first honorable mention is an episode that is not really good, but it's episode 95, 1 year later, which is the one where they talk about their 1 year break. Because that was the first episode that I got to watch live, and also for other sentimental reasons. Oh, should I do all of my honorable mention, or we just...
We can alternate if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my first honorable mention, I don't remember what episode it came from, but it was Taryon Darrington's fight song. Grog made him do an improv fight song, and he came back from the break and he had a badass song written down, and they were like all shocked that, once again, the brilliance of Sam just being able to go out there and write this cool ass fight song in a first, or just like in a 20-minute span. And I just love the last line where it says, I forget exactly what it was, but it ends with, and I was like, damn it, Taryon Darrington, you won mine. With that fight song.
Yeah, a good funny moment. Another one is, so I wrote episode 57, Dusk Meadow, but it happens a couple of times. It's Keyleth the Sentry. I just love Matt playing the Sentry basically as a Californian dude. Like the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sentry A-OK. Very laid back.
Hipster with the hacky sack.
Yeah,
they were playing him like a hipster, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I see hipster as being, I don't know, more East Coast. And I see that more as a Californian dude than a hipster. Yeah. But, I mean...
I got you.
Yeah. I see him with like long surfer hair, not really a beard, and a hoodie, beanie.
Okay. Yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah.
I can buy that. My second honorable mention is Obby the Rat from the one shot.
Yeah, I did not include any one shot, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just loved Obby the Rat. There's nothing really to say. He's just a cool character. I loved his lines, his improv haiku he did, and his funny. He lives with his mom, his wife's mom, and he sticks with them anyway because we're family. And he has like this Russian accent that he didn't really intend to do the whole time, but yeah. Obby the Rat. I'm down with Obby the Rat.
I've still not really finished watching that one shot, so I just know a little bit about Obby the Rat. Another one, just for the fun, line. It's in episode 96, Family Matters. Overall, very May episode because no one cared about the Trickfoot family, but it's at the end. Ashley says there is actually a curse in our family, and it's called diabetes. I mean, it's the way she pronounces it that...
diabetes.
Yeah, that was very funny. There are a lot of running jokes in Critical Role, so some things that we find funny because they build up to it, like when they go stop, 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 stop. That is a running joke. It's like, if we just say, that's funny, it doesn't make sense if you have not watch the whole evolution of that joke, like any running joke.
Right. Another one for me, and this is a small one that most people would never even think about. It is Percy's speech to the King of Iman in A Musician's Nostalgia is the episode. It's when they come back from the Briarwoods. And he just has this great...
it was an amazing speech.
Yeah, great impromptu speech about, like, you know, the nature of his goodness and how it led to some, you know, to issues, but how they made mistakes, and it was just a great speech. And I think that there was never a crit roll highlight on it, but I always thought it was great. And even Travis, you could see Travis reacting. He's like, "Man, that was awesome," you know. And then it was just a great speech, and it always stuck with me, so I always remember it.
No, I agree, and that sort of goes with what I was saying, that Percy was, you know, sort of a leader at the beginning, but then as they all evolved, like he let, you know, like he took a little bit of a
step back,
not back seat, but yeah, he took a step back. But yeah, he was like in the like first couple of not couple of episodes, but couple of arc, he was really a leader for the group.
Yeah,
like, I really
definitely.
loved Percy. I can't tie that to one episode because it's another one of those running jokes, but where's Larkin? And that is like, yeah, I'm sure we're going to have some Where's Larkin joke even in the next campaign. For the brief recap, I can't explain why that joke is funny, really, but Raishan, we talked about that. That's the green dragon who was really skilled with magic, and she was called like the deceased deceiver. And she, why do I want to say skin change? Like that's the Song of Ice and Fire influence. She polymorphed.
Use an illusion.
Yeah,
polymorph
into a guy named Larkin, who then obviously disappeared when Raishan appeared. But then, like, yeah, but I'm not sure everyone in the group realized that Larkin was Raishan right away. And so there were some people wondering where Larkin went. And then it became like the huge running joke for the community. Even the last live episode that was for Gen Con, I think, like there were like big signs saying, "Where's Larkin?" So, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really Liam. Liam really didn't know that it was Larkin towards like the very end. Like he still didn't know it was Larkin. That Larkin was Raishan. But yeah, that was funny. I always remember Larkin. Okay, so my other one that I have is the death and resurrection of Percy. That was actually to me the best death and resurrection because I actually, you know, believed the emotion that they were portraying in that instance. And it's also funny because Taliesin, I think he's kind of has like a different outlook on things. And he was talking about how if they didn't say the right things during his resurrection, he wouldn't have came back. Because I think he was perfectly fine rolling a new character. But yeah, so the death and resurrection of Percy, that was always my favorite resurrection that they ever did. Because some of their resurrection rituals didn't have the same weight to me, but that one was the best.
I agree. I think my next one, another funny moment. It's Keyleth. That was right before Vecna appeared. The first time, you know, that heard about Vecna, they were investigating, but you know, there wasn't a big threat looming. That was right before that. I don't know who they had I can't remember who they had managed to defeat right before, but they're walking back and they're next to the cliff, and she's like, "Yeah, but no, you know, like, hey, we can defeat anything. We're basically gods." And she wants to retrieve something, turns into a goldfish, decides to jump off of the cliff into the sea down below, and just fucking splashes and dies. The goldfish incident.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. Okay, so another one that I have is Grog Go Shopping, and it's quite the fail. Well, there's a lot of Grog Go Shopping.
There's Grog Haggle.
There's the Grog. Yeah. Well, this is the haggling one where he wants a potion of giant strength, and it's a pretty expensive potion. you know, all these dragon scales and dragon teeth or whatever. And I forget the exact amount, but we'll say like, you know, he wanted like 100 scales or something. And then Grog comes back, well, I'll give you 200 scales. They're like, done deal. And just like, that's just perfect role playing from Travis. Yeah, he got ripped off, but that's what Grog would have done. And I just love that moment.
Definitely. Oh, you have another sweet Grog. I can't remember. Do I have the episode there? Oh, yeah. Episode 75, where the cards fall. It's Pike that starts teaching Grog how to read. That's a really cute moment. I didn't put many Pike moments because Ashley wasn't there that often, unfortunately. And half of the time when she was there, she was on Skype, so I couldn't really see any of her role playing. But yeah, I mean, like she was good. Like I hope for the next campaign that she can be there more often. I really do, because she could have been really a star in the group, which she could never really be because she wasn't there. But I thought there's another one. It's I'm sorry, I'm throwing two at the same time, but I just want to throw another also Pike and Grog moment, because they have the cutest interaction. You have to think about that big Goliath and that tiny gnome, but they both like to kick asses. And there's another one that's very funny, which is the episode where they meet Lionel, and I don't know what they're fighting, like a bunch of undeads for some reason. I can't really remember the context, but they're fighting a bunch of like small scale undeads, but there are many of them, and they sort of feel like overshadowed by Lionel, who's like has succeeded better at strength checks than them, so like appears stronger right now, and so they decide to go on sort of a like suicide mission to prove that they're more useful to the group than he is. And there's just like, it's a really cute little interaction between them. I don't have all of the info because bad memory, and it's not on my notes. It just came to my mind, but
that was a good one.
There are a lot of cute Pike and Grog interactions.
Another good one I had was the whole, it's from A Name is Earned, the whole Kamal Giori confrontation, which was the other Sphinx that they had to go to, and they had to guess his name, remember? And they had like they had to go inside the vortex. That whole fight was full of tension, but then I just loved the fact that his action ended up impaling Pike with Craven Edge when he threw it out into the vortex. One of them was floating in the vortex when the fight ended, and they had to go pull him up real quick, or else he would have been gone forever. And then I just loved when Sam got Mythcarver, because Sam's not even paying attention when Kamal Giori is talking, and Kamal Giori, he talks about how Matt's reading the card. He talks about how, this sword, it belonged to the White Duke, who's known as like a great bard. And then as soon as the word bard, or the sword belonged to 1,000 bards or something like that, Sam perks up, and then he becomes happy that he's getting this item. But yeah, I like the Kamal Giori conflict.
So okay, because
that was a good one.
Because my memory is so bad, they got Mythcarver when they got. Is that the moment when Vax was killed and had to be resurrected, and then Vex was killed and then Vax had to pledge for her?
That was before that.
Okay, that was before. Okay. What were they looking for in that tomb? Which ended up killing Vex?
Oh, that they were looking. That's when they were looking for Vax's vestige.
Oh,
that's when they got the Raven Queen feather chess piece.
So I know. Okay, then I don't feel as bad because Vex has used his vestige all the time. In fights all the time, like a serious boon. Scanlan never fucking used Mythcarver like at all. So had he doomed his buddy for vestige they never used, that would have been like,
Well, I mean, he did they used the vestige, just not in the conventional way, because it did give him more inspirations. and another cutting words that he was able to use. So he did use it. He just didn't use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. But right after that, though, was when Grog got killed by Craven Edge. Like right after they got out of that temple. I had one more if you want me to go on.
Yeah.
Arkin the Cruel stealing the hand of Vecna.
Yes. That almost made it in my top 10. But I didn't want to have too many. You know what it is? The episode got better and better, but also they're fresher and fresher in my memory. So I didn't want to have a top 10 crammed with episodes from moments from the last 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't put it. But yeah, go ahead. Another badass moment.
That's a badass moment. Arkin the Cruel. First off, the coolest thing about this whole thing is that him and Grog had a bromance going on because they're both muscle-bound, testosterone-filled people. And so they were having this bromance going on. And Arkin the Cruel, it was made pretty clear that he's a paladin of Tiamat, which is an evil deity, and he's not a good person. His name is fucking Arkin the Cruel to begin with. And so you should have known something was going to happen. They were under this guise that they were they were there for the same means to slay Vecna, so they had a temporary alliance or whatever. But after they slayed Vecna, Joe Manganiello, who's an actor, he put the hand of Vecna on the ground. He's like, it's time to destroy this thing. Well, he puts his hands over his head. He chops his own wrist off, heals it onto his, he puts it onto his own wrist, heals it, and then teleports out and says it was all business.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great moment. Obviously, I think they're going to use him as a villain in the next campaign, I imagine. The only reason why I didn't make my top 10 list is it was like super fast. Like, and there was not like a lot of time to digest it, and they didn't have any time to react. Like, he was doing a lot of things. Like, I feel like they maybe should have had some time to react, but it was still really fucking cool.
Yeah,
I love that moment.
No, it felt really cool that it just ended up like that, like bam. And the actor, which is not something they usually do because the way of their filming setup is like they don't have a lot of mobility. But it just like got up and left, like physically, which is not really, they make their characters do something, but then they wait until they can move because of the way their mics are set up. But they just left. And
you could tell, like, people were talking, because I was reading some comments on the YouTube video, whatever. People were like saying, like, oh, he hijacked the game doing that. No, if you watched the episode, you can clearly tell, like, he pretty softly, he asks Matt about the hand like 4 times, and Matt's like giving him looks like, no, not yet. Like you could tell throughout the episode, this was planned. Like, this was planned between Matt and him. So he wasn't hijacking the game. Like, this is something they planned, and that I think is going to play out in the next campaign.
I totally agree. Like, we need good, and it's really cool. So yeah, I want to throw in my last. I have more, but let's say it's my last honorable mention. But because I only have 2, but I'm sure you have a lot more. The loose threads for the next campaign. So there was, I don't think they will really amount to much because they sort of said so, I think, on the Vox Machina, but the Gifkionti skill. Anyway, there's that skill that they find with a lot of other magical items. Actually, there are even loose threads around some of the other magical items that they find, I think. I can't remember all the items, but they're in that. Yeah, they go back to the place. I'm going to forget all the name. That was previously inhabited by which dragon?
Brimscythe.
Yeah, because there was supposed to be one more dragon in the Chroma Conclave arc, but they ended up killing him beforehand, and I think even before the show starts. But he was disguised as a general something rather, and
General Krieg.
Thank you. And for some reason, they go back to his house, and there are all of those like little items that could be like loose that they never really got the time to investigate properly. That includes that skull that had like a little spirit stuck in it that promised that if he was free, they would get a wish. Right now, it's in Alura's possession, but that could be a loose threat. Now, God, I forgot the second. Yeah, Senokir's, who was a really shady NPC, who asked them to bury a box with his wife's ashes in Vasselheim. Now
I don't think he was shady.
Yeah, but it's highly speculated by the cast themselves that he was shady, so that could be something. I'm sure you can think of other like loose threads that could be used in the next campaign.
Well, obviously Silas Briarwood.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Archon the Cruel. I imagine they'll be in there. I'm trying to think of some others.
Silas, like, what would be like? Okay, Archon definitely. Silas, what would he be after? Like, what would be his
revenge? He'd be after revenge. Maybe he'd want to be like he'll come and try and, because remember he was really hell bent on killing Vex for getting that killing blow on.
Oh no, definitely. But then, do you think we're gonna see Matt playing some of Vox Machina's members?
That's true. That's true. The connection is with Vex. Yeah, that is true.
I mean, he's with Vox Machina, so
I don't know. Maybe they tie him up somehow.
Like, because to me, it's like Delilah's dead. He's broken. Like, there was that line, "I broke the world for you." Oh, just that line. But there was, it was there. They were a poor couple. Like, you take out one out of the equation, I don't think he has any way. I mean, unless there's a way to bring Delilah back.
I got a thought. Maybe he's he's like this disheveled, depressed vampire now, and he just goes on this like murderous serial killing vampire spree, and then they're hired to investigate the disturbance out in the woods, and it ends up being Silas Briarwood. Just out of his depression, he just
So just it would be more wink than
Right. It wouldn't. Yeah. It'd be like just like a side quest or something. But yeah, that's a way. But aside from that, I'm trying to think of other things that they could tie back in. But I can't really think of any other ties.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, in the earlier episodes there were some.
Oh, the Horn of Orcus.
Yes, the Horn of Orcus, obviously.
Yeah, that could play into the next one.
Because they only have one.
Yeah, that I'm sure. Maybe they killed Vecna. Maybe the next end goal would be Orcus. I mean, I don't know. That would make sense.
That would make a lot of sense. Although now we have Tiamat also, but yeah, like I'm expecting a War of the Gods for the next campaign.
I mean, you got to go bigger.
Not first episode, obviously, but yeah, you got to go bigger than, we had a ascended god this time, so like you got to up the stakes for the next campaign.
Well, actually, what I want to see, I want to see a TPK.
Yeah, but that's not really a fair DM cannot plan for a TPK.
Right. No, I'm just saying I want to see if it's actually. I just would want to see. No, I don't want him to do it on purpose. I'd want to see a natural TPK and see how they would deal with those ramifications. Like, would they start a new campaign or what? It'd just be interesting.
No, but I see what you mean. Yeah, but it's not something that Matt can plan. They could have TPK'd so many times, honestly.
Well, they should have, I think, sometimes TPK'd. And they got out of it by divine. I don't know.
I'm still curious.
I think
I mean, because I suck at keeping track of spells, but in the first Vecna fight, Vecna counterspelled one of Scanlan's counterspell. Like, I'm curious. I'm not really sure why he didn't do that this time.
I'm pretty sure he used all of his legendary resistances.
Yeah, no, his legendary resistance. Yeah, but didn't have. I don't know how many 9th level spells.
No, he was out of all of this. He was tapped out. He was like tapped out of spells. Like, he was at that point. He was like using 4th and 3rd level spells.
Okay.
Yeah, he was pretty tapped out because he used his meteor twice, which is 2 level 9 spells. Yeah, he used up his 8s because I remember he tried because he got his Feeblemind counterspell that you're trying to do on Keyleth. He used it. He was tapped out because Sam kept counterspelling him. That's how it goes.
Yep. Okay, so my dear, we've been there for 2 hours. I don't know if there's a last thing you want to add before we call it a day.
Not really. That I just had a lot of fun talking about Critical Role, and I love talking about these moments. And just I'm hoping that once the new campaign starts, we can maybe do like a bi-weekly review or something, and enjoy the series, the new series, and from the start.
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited for the new series, and yeah, I would love to do some kind of review. We still have to figure out a format because that's a lot to take on, and it's not like when you do Game of Thrones reviews where it's a lot of work, but for a couple of months. There is never ending reviewing for our episodes. So yeah, we got to think of a format wisely, especially because of me being in France. We can only really film during the weekend. So do you have anything to plug for yourself or the Hypes Watch?
I mean, for myself, no, I don't make any videos nowadays.
You should.
But
I'm still waiting. I still have my top 10 videos of the 60s. Top 10 movies of the 60s.
Yeah, maybe we can do that. But Hypes Watch, we're gonna have a reread sometime in November. And yeah, just don't have a date on that yet, but
what chapter?
Just keep an eye out. You know what? I'm not exactly sure what chapter it is. I'd have to look.
Okay.
I've been very unprepared lately. That was the greatest. That was a
greatest plug.
That was a Sam Riegel-esque plug.
Yes. Well, okay. So you guys, I don't think anyone on that channel might not be subscribed to Hypeswatch channel yet. But in case you just happen to fall on that video, because it says Critical Role, and if you also happen to like A Song of Ice and Fire, please note that the Hypeswatch channel does monthly chapter rereads, and they're called epic chapter reread for something because they just pick one chapter pretty much at random and just really dissect the hell out of it. Like there were some 5-hour long videos there. So if you like really long literary analysis of A Song of Ice and Fire chapter, make sure to check out that channel. And okay, so for me, still a freaking backload of videos. I did edit some videos. Like I did edit the video of my foot tattoo from 2 years ago. But the next one I want to put up is my Ice and Fire Con vlog, which is still not edited because it's a monster of a thing to edit. I have, I don't know how many hours of video that need to condense and find rhythm and find music. And it's I want to start doing it and then I freak out. But yeah, so maybe some edited videos and possibly next weekend. I don't have a confirmation on a date or anything. Possibly next weekend, I will be on AU Pack Mule's channel to discuss the latest season of Stranger Things. But that's all. Anyway, James, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast. I love talking Critical Role, so anytime.
And until next time, bye-bye.